resources and money is MidAmerican willing to put into carbon capture and sequestration?
Clean coal is a bit of a difficulty for us in that,
to put it mildly, for anyone, I think.
It's an interesting discussion, but probably one area where the whole discussion of moving towards climate change solutions is inadequately provided research and development dollars that we need to get to. I think we've taken this whole approach towards solving carbon, if you will, in a it would be nice to do it in one size fits all. Here's the piece of legislation, solves everything. The reality is we're talking about undoing 200 years of history of a carbon-based economy, and I think we need to take that in steps. The first step, in my view, would be set those caps. If the best scientists the world has say that we need to reduce carbon emissions by 17% by 2020, 83% by 2050 is kind of the current curve, then government should set that and say that is where we're going. We're going to require other nations in the world to also come to terms with that. And then we should start talking about how do we do it underneath there, industry by industry, state by state. That's how we'll really get there.
It seems like you're getting at the point that you've made before, and that is your concern over a rush to legislate it. You testified in front of Congress recently talking about the fact that there could be a lot of unintended consequences of cap and trade for the consumer, talking about the impact to consumers on costs, surging natural gas prices, a deployment of immature technologies that aren't ready to be used on a mass scale, and job losses. I mean, you point out a lot of concerns that don't always enter the cap and trade debate.
I think that's right. I think, we're trying this one size fits all, and I think it's been used, I'm sure well-intentioned by a lot of people, but in many cases I think it's because they thought they could sort of take this package and jam it through and people wouldn't really understand it, so they'd get it done. Mm-hmm. The problem is it has enormous potential unintended consequences, and we're not opposed to the cap side of it. If that's what we need to do to intelligently meet climate change risk, okay, then government should set that cap. But there are so many things. As an example, 47% of our electricity today in this country comes from coal. There is no proven carbon capture and sequestration technology today. There's a whole bunch of R&D thoughts. Mm-hmm. It's not being funded adequately. We have to build, take for instance, not only do we have to replace all that coal generation, 50% of our energy utilization, we also have 20% of our nation's energy comes from nuclear, 104 nuclear generators. All of those plants have to be replaced in the next 30 to 40 years. So we actually have to replace 70% of our existing base of electricity if we're going to make this happen. We need technologies, we need a time frame to do it in that makes sense, and we need to actually discipline ourselves to say, okay, if that's the goal, how do we get there at the least cost?